Hey, I want to share with you what God is working in my heart right now. I'm going to read to you Deuteronomy chapter 3, verses 21 through, I don't know, probably 24, 25. It says, "And I commanded Joshua at that time, saying, Thine eyes have seen all that the Lord your God hath done unto these two kings. So shall the Lord do unto all the kingdoms whither thou passest. Ye shall not fear them, for the Lord your God, he shall fight for you." So Moses has just been going through and he's been giving a recounting of everything that has taken place since the children of Israel were taken out of Egypt and since they were traveling through the wilderness as they began to conquer different territories that they came to. And he's reminding Joshua of this. And then he continues and he says, "And I besought the Lord at that time, saying, O Lord God, Thou hast begun to show thy servant thy greatness and thy mighty hand. For what God is there in heaven or in earth that can do according to thy works and according to thy might? I pray thee, let me go over and see the good land that is beyond Jordan and the goodly mountain and Lebanon." But the Lord was wroth with me for your sakes and would not hear me. And the Lord said unto me, Let it suffice thee. Speak no more unto me of this matter. Now, the instance that's being referenced here is when Moses split the rock open instead of speaking to the rock for the children of Israel to be able to have water in the wilderness. But that's not my focus. I have had the thought, I wonder if at any point Moses had actually recognized that it's not the children of Israel's fault that he's not going in, but it was his own fault, his own sin that kept him from coming in, if God would have granted him that wish. But my focus today really is on the beginning of verse 24. It says, O Lord God, Thou hast begun to show thy servant thy greatness and thy mighty hand. At first, when I read this, I'm like, what do you mean you're just now beginning to see God's greatness after all of his goodness and all of the things God did while the children of Israel were going through the wilderness, the many ways that he took care of them? Whenever he said, Is my hand waxed short? When Moses came to him saying that they needed food, all of the different things. And then I took a minute and I realized what Moses was really saying. He said, O Lord God, Thou hast begun to show. Thou hast begun to show thy servant thy greatness. All of what he had seen was just the beginning of God's goodness. How cool is that? Because everything that God had done in the wilderness up until that point only began to show God's greatness and his mighty hand. And I just had to pause because in today's society and in my Bible reading and everything I've ever heard, everyone's like, see how great God is? That's showing his greatness. No. It's showing the beginning of his greatness. We will not see the fullness of his greatness this side of heaven. Oh, but when that day comes, how wonderful it will be. And so I just wanted to encourage you. The greatness that you've already seen in your life is just the beginning of who our God is. And so we can step back and we can be thankful and we can stand in awe of who our God is, because the miracles that we read about are the beginning of his greatness.